There are certain things that we do or don't do when we go out prospecting that really hurt our chances of getting anything out of our prospecting. And this session is going to be about 7 things that we do or don't do that really will hurt our prospecting chances. The first one, prospecting at the wrong time of the day. If we go out and try and talk to people when they are not there, it's not going to work. So that means that if we go and knock on doors during the day where nobody is home, we're wasting our time. If we try and cold call or call people on landlines during the day, they are probably not going to be at home, and therefore we are wasting our time as well. So it's really important that we know the time of the day that our prospecting is going to be the most effective, and we focus on prospecting during those times. Number 2, not doing enough. And that means the quantity that we do of that specific activity. There's a big difference between doing 2 door knocks to doing 30 door knocks. There's a big difference between making 5 phone calls a day to making 30 phone calls a day. The more we do, the better our chances of getting anything out of our prospecting. Third thing that we should remember, repetition. If we go out and we door knock once a week, then our chances of getting something out of it is not very likely. But if we do it every day, then our chances will increase. The same as, say, with flyers. If we drop 100 flyers once a week, we're not going to be very likely to get anything out of it comparing to dropping 100 flyers every week. So the more we do of activities, of certain activities, the more likely we are to get anything out of that activity. Number 4, not having a reason. When we go and we talk to people, we need to have a reason of why it is that we are prospecting. Why is it that we are at the door, or why is it that we're making up the phone call or sending them the email? We have to have a reason, and we need to decide on that reason before we go out prospecting, not whilst we are trying to prospect. So anytime you're thinking about prospecting, calls, letters, emails, knocking on doors, just remember, why are you there? Have a reason for why you're going out prospecting, why you're talking to people, and that will make it easier to prospect and will be more interesting for people rather than, I'm not really sure why I called you today. Number 5, not practicing before we go out and prospect, or before we do the prospecting activity. If we are going to make a phone calls and we have no idea why we're calling and we've never done this before, the phone call is going to be horrible. If we try and go and knock on doors but we haven't practicing knocking on doors, then when the door will open we will be in shock and we will not really know what it is that we're going to do. So we need to really remember to practice before we actually go and talk to people. Practice on each other, practice in front of the mirror, just stand at home and look at the computer and practice talking to the computer. But practice what it is that we're going to say before we go out and prospect. Number 6, no preparation. And that means that before we pick up the phone, before we go out and door knock, we do the research to know what is happening in the area, to know what is happening in the neighborhood. If we don't do that, then if people ask us questions while we're in front of them and we don't have answers, we are not professional, we're not experts. So preparation prior to prospecting is crucial. Having the information, having the knowledge, so we are an authority, professional and knowledgeable. And number 7, having the wrong expectation. And that means that if we're going cold calling or cold door knocking, having an expectation that we knock on a door and somebody opens the door and says, yes, I want to list with you, we have the wrong expectation. Nobody will say yes to us and we will be disappointed and we will not go and do the activity again. It's really important to have the expectation correctly. And that means that when we go out to knock on doors, when we make phone calls, having the understanding that if it's a cold conversation, the likelihood of getting the straight business out of it is lower, and it's more about building relationship, getting information, and starting the business. I'm not saying that it will never happen to me, and I know of many salespeople that it has happened to them, but the likelihood is much less than just having a conversation. So having the right expectations so we don't get disappointed, we don't get disheartened, and we can keep on prospecting. So 7 things that we should do or shouldn't do prior to prospecting or during prospecting. But there's one more very, very important thing when it comes to prospecting, and that is our ability to cancel fear or overcome fear and just go on and do the prospecting activity. If we don't do it, if we don't overcome the fear, if we don't face our fears, it will kick us back and we will not be able to go out and do the things that we're supposed to do.